Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories is a cult classic in gaming, popular with gamers due to its infamous difficulty in childhood memories, and popular with speedrunners for its decision-making mixed in with outrageously infuriating yet satisfying RNG. No matter how each group of players enjoys the game, both agree that the game revolves around a single monster card, Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. So much so that the game sometimes gets called Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon the game. With its ease of use and plenty of fusions to get the card, it makes sense that the vast majority of players feel you have to rely on Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon for most, if not all, of the game. I'm not in this vast majority. I love this game and have played and completed it many times. I'm no speedrunner, but I know a lot about the game and specifically go out of my way to not use THTD whenever I get an itch to play this game again. But how far can a player go without fusing THTD? Well, you can beat the game pretty easily by getting Meteor Black Dragon from Meadow Mage, but what if you didn't know you can get MBD from Meadow Mage? What if you didn't know the many good fusions in the game and just happened to miss them while experimenting for yourself? What if you didn't know the insect-type monsters are very limited and decided that you only wanted to use them? Well, that's what this video is made to find out. Can you beat Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories using only insect monsters? Now, I'm not just talking about using insect monsters in the campaign. This includes grinding and free duel for cards as well. So no using the easy Dragon plus Thunder fusion in order to get easy Atex for good cards. But before I go over the rules and restrictions I made for this challenge, I want to explain why the insect type is a struggle to use. Out of the 722 cards in the game, there are only 36 insect monsters. Out of these 36 insects, only 27 are obtainable. Out of these 27 insects, there isn't much to work with. Insects are extremely limited when it comes to fusions, which, I don't know if you know this, is the core concept of the game. An insect with less than 800 attack can fuse with a warrior that also has less than 800 attack to make Cockroach Knight. Very weak fusion, so we're not off to a good start. Spike Snail and Minar can fuse with a dragon that has less than 1500 attack to make Komori Dragon, can fuse with Protector to Throne to make Invader to Throne, and can fuse with Mystical Sheep number 2 to make Mystical Sheep number 1, none of which will get us very far. However, there is some hope because any insect with less than 1900 attack can fuse with Kuwagata Alpha to make Quaggar Hercules, a decent monster that we can work with. Jiragumo can fuse with Metalmorph to make Launcher Spider, but it only increases its defense with it, so using an equip just makes more sense. And that's it. Yep, insect monsters can only make one generic fusion in Cockroach Knight, and a few specific fusions in Komori Dragon, Invader of the Throne, Mystical Sheep number 1, Launcher Spider, and Quaggar Hercules, among all the cards in the game. So I got my work cut out for me. So now for the rules of this challenge. Firstly, I can only use insect monsters in my deck. That means I cannot make Komori Dragon, Invader of the Throne, or Mystical Sheep number 1 because they require fusions with other monster types. I also cannot use certain monster cards that fuse into insect monsters such as Arm Ninja and Sinister Serpent making Koragashi, Zone Eater and Labyrinth Wall making Dungeon Worm, that actually would have been quite useful, or the several weird fusions that make Cocoon of Evolution, a solid defense monster in the early game that would have been nice to have. Secondly, I cannot fuse to make a monster that is not an insect type, so Launcher Spider being a machine type is also out. Thirdly, I can only use insect type monster cards at all times. I can't sub out cards in order to make grinding and free duel easier, and trust me when I say it wasn't easy. Fourth, I cannot use the multi-memory card trading trick to get 3 copies of the cards I own. I have to grind or purchase every card individually. Fifth, I cannot use the disc swap exploit in order to acquire cards that you can't get through normal gameplay, such as Javelin Beetle or Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. And sixth, I have to duel everyone in the campaign. This includes Seto second, Teana, Jono, and the villagers. With the rules established, we come to a little hiccup in this challenge. Our starter deck is randomly chosen for us at the beginning of the game from a combination of 7 sets of cards. Set 1 and 2 give us 16 cards apiece, set 3 gives us 4 cards, and sets 4 through 7 give us 1 card each. Sets 1 and 2 do not have enough insect-type monsters in their card pools to give us, and sets 3 and 4 are very limited, so I'm forced to pull some trickery in order to make a starter deck that fits this challenge, and through some RNG of my own, I ended up with this deck. Set 1 gave us 3 Leghouls, Koragashis, Man-Eater Bugs, Larva Moths, 2 Petite Moths, and 2 Caterpillars. Set 2 gave us 3 basic insects, Wing Cleavers, Ganagumos, Gale Dogras, Blade Flies, and 1 Needleworm. Set 3 gave us 1 Spike Snail, 1 Alien Section, 1 Insect Soldiers of the Sky, and 1 Minar. Set 4 gave us Killer Needle and not Kuwagata Alpha, so this is already going to be tougher than it needs to be. And sets 5 through 7 are going to help this insect-based deck with Raigeki, the Field Spell Forest, and the equipped Insect Armor with Laser Cannon. Now I know we're using a few unobtainable cards to reach the 40 card deck limit, but come on, look at them. They're pathetic. They don't last too long in my deck anyway, as you'll soon see. So let's begin the campaign with our buddy Simon Muran. He's supposed to act as an introductory duel to let you get a feel for the game, however he can pull some good fusions like Mystical Sand that can end our run quick. I start off with playing basic insect in defense mode. Simon plays a face down spell card. I draw into Insect Armor with Laser Cannon, so I use it on Blade Fly to get a decent attacking monster on the field. He activates his face down card to reveal Sparks, an absolutely devastating burn card that I have no chance of recovering from, then sets his monster in defense mode. At this point, I've won. It's just a matter of whittling down his life points with my weak insects. I win a Griffor, which is actually a great card to win this early in the game, but can't use it, not an insect. After beating Simon, I go straight to the duel ground to duel against Teana and the Villagers. Teana and Villager 1 are very easy, while Villagers 2 and 3 can surprise you this early in the game. Dueling Teana, I start out setting Man-Eater Bug in defense. Teana also sets a monster. I summon Gale Dogger and attack into her Monster Eye. And that is pretty much it. Summon another insect, attack her defense monster, deal life points damage, win the duel. I summon a Petite Moth and Teana attacks into it with Key Mace. I'm currently 0-2 and keeping my life points at 8,000. I win a Sinister Serpent and move on to Villager 1, who is also the same. A very easy duel. However, both of them will be useful when I grind cards in Free Duel. I start off by putting Minar in defense. He puts a monster in defense as well. I summon Alien Section and attack into a Sinister Serpent. And again, the duel is pretty much over. Just have to bring his life points to 0. I win a Mindless Radiant, but the 5-star chips will be far more valuable. Now an actual challenge, Villager 2. The jump in difficulty is actually quite large in this fight. I will be utilizing the ancient technique of dumping my hand in order to get the few good cards in my deck so I have a chance of beating this guy, and I set Blade Fly in defense. He brings out a Corroding Shark with 1100 attack. I draw Raigeki, but now is not the time to use it, so I dump my insects again and put Ganegumo in defense. Villager 2 decides now is a good time to freestyle on me and fuses his Corroding Shark with Barrow Lily to make Pumpkin the King of Ghosts. Again, I'm forced to dump my hand and put Ganegumo in defense mode. Good news is, the next monster he puts down can't attack over Ganegumo, so I won't take a big hit in life points from Pumpkin. I dump my hand again, this time I will be taking a big hit. I use Raigeki to reset the field. He plays Door Over, much more manageable. I dump 2 insects and utilize this game's Cosmic Alignment mechanic, where each card has 2 Guardian Stars to choose from and each star is strong and weak against another star. I choose Man-Eater Bug's second Guardian Star, Pluto, which is strong against Door Over's Neptune Star, so it gains a 500 attack and defense boost. He summons Graveyard and the Hand of Invitation to take out Man-Eater Bug. I use Insect Armor with Laser Cannon on Minar, and now the duel is finally swayed in my favor. I play some decent attack insects to bring him down to 0, and I win a Hideout in check, and a single star chip. So that was a much tougher duel, and it'll be much of the same with Villager 3. I draw into my equip and dump the rest. He plays Little D. I think he's trying to tell me something. I draw into Raigeki, but no decent monsters, so I dump and play another Ganegumo. He plays Wood Remains to take out Ganegumo, and I get slapped in the face by his Little D. I draw Insect Soldiers of the Sky and decide to use Insect Armor on it to suck the life out of his Little D. Because Wood Remains Guardian Star, it actually has equal attack to my Insect Soldier, but the CPU does not account for this and puts it in defense mode. Dumbass. I attack into it and set Wing Cleaver, which tanks a hit from his Turtle Raccoon, and I kill it next turn. He fuses Prisman with Skulkstalker to make Minumushi Warrior, which thankfully can't get over my Insect Soldier, so he just attacks my Wing Cleaver. Now I can safely assume I've won the duel. So what's apparent from this duel is that Guardian Stars are going to be very important in order to attack over big threats that my insects just can't deal with on their own attack power, and I'll have to use the Cosmic Alignment mechanic a lot if I hope to have a chance. Beating Villager 3 gives me another Spike Snow, which is great to get this early. I then go to the Town Plaza with Teana, see that Jono is getting his ass handed to him by Seto. Seto says he grows weary of this insect. I refuse Seto's proposal to duel, which he also calls me an insect. I'll show you what an insect could do, bitch, just not right now. And after some eavesdropping and exposition, it's time to start the grind, beginning with Teana. The only card I want from Teana is the Forest Field Magic card, which drops at a 30 out of 2048 rate on SA POW and BCD. There's no strategy when it comes to grinding on Teana. Just attack over her monsters and get her down to 0 as fast as possible. After 25 duels, I do not get Forest, but I do have enough star chips to buy Forest. I should note that once you buy a card, you can't buy it again, so I have to continue to grind for a third Forest, which thankfully only took me 3 more duels to get. On to Villager 1. Like Teana, there is no strategy to farm for cards for him. He's the easiest duel in the game, which is great because he's the only one in the game, aside from Mountain Mage, that drops our prized fusion insect, Kuwagata Alpha. Now, it's only at a 12 out of 2048 rate from SA POW, but I have to do this if I'm able to have any hope of continuing on with the campaign. So the grind begins. It's much easier to get his life points down to 0 now because I have 3 forests to boost the power of all my insects. And the boost comes in handy for any surprises he throws at me, like this Cyber Soldier on turn 1, this Tiger Axe, or Celtic Guardian. After 12 wins, I had no luck, but I realized I have enough star chips for the designated boss monster of my insect deck, Gumo, which only cost me 80 star chips. I also buy the card I'm currently grinding for, Kuwagata Alpha. Having 2 strong monsters this early on is going to be huge for getting quick wins in Free Duel, so I have more chances at other cards. Grinding Villager 1 has definitely become easier and faster now, but my luck hasn't improved. I went at D-Human, which has the same drop chance as Kuwagata Alpha, so that sucks. After 40 wins, no Kuwagata Alpha. To not collapse from boredom, I decided to go back into the campaign to take on Jono and Seto. The Jono duel really shows the improvement I've already made to this deck, fusing to make Quagga Hercules on turn 1. Jono can't put up a fight, so I make quick work of this insect and win Hinotama Soul from him. The Seto fight is next, and it's where I remember a lot of my runs as a kid would end. Not suspecting the jump and attack strength this deck can make like Gaia the Fierce Knight. My starting hand is decent with Killer Needle and Insect Armor, but I decide to set Basic Insect to see what Seto will play first. He fuses Pot the Trick and Key Mace to make Mystical Sand. I should be scared, but I draw Gumo, use the Insect Armor on it, and the duel is won from this point. He sets a card, I attack it with Killer Needle, revealing it to be Ryukishin powered, but the Guardian Star boosts Killer Needle over it. He sets another card, as do I attack his, it's Ryukishin. The Madman attacks my face down Ganaguma with a Muka Muka, and just for shits and giggles, I go into a 3D battle to finish Seto off. Since when did Gumo have boots? I don't see them on the card. Anyway, Gumo shits Chinese fireworks to win the duel and I get an Abyss Flower. Seto leaves, I get praise, I tell Jono he's trash and not worth my time, and I return to the palace. It gets January 6th, Heishin duels me, I lose, the puzzle is shattered, and we end up in the present time. I decide to start the tournament immediately and face off with Rex Raptor. Turn 1 I get nothing good, so I just set Bladefly in defense. Rex takes this opportunity to fuse Eye Armor, Fire Reaper, and Laughing Plant to make Pumpkin the King of Ghosts. It's time for me to start dumping cards. He fuses again, using a Morphing Jar and Curtain of the Dark Ones to make Oshioni. I draw a Forest, but still can't deal with what Rex has on the field, so I dump again. Now I'm starting to get nervous as I'm down to 3,000 life points. I draw in a Kuwagata Alpha, so I can make Quagga Hercules, but that isn't good enough to beat his Oshioni. With no other option, I fuse anyway to take out his Pumpkin and have one more turn. Oshi attacks Quagga, and his Man-Eating Plant and Cyberstein attack my life points. I draw Raigeki and use it, having no other option. Hope is kept alive as Rex only summons a Wing Cleaver. I set Spike Snail, hoping I get one more turn. Rex fuses Little Chimera and Hourglass of Life to make Garvis, and for some ridiculous reason puts it in defense while attacking with Wing Cleaver. I dump more cards in the hopes of getting Gumo, but keeping Wing Cleaver so I can attack into his own. Rex fuses Morphing Jar with the Yamatato Dragon Scroll to make Stone D, and I lose. My first real loss of the run, and it was pretty brutal. The game has a habit of fluctuating difficulty on duels due to the card pools that make up your opponent's deck. So sometimes you have a tough duel like the one I just lost, and other times you can cruise to a win like what happened the second time I dueled Rex. Not feeling pressured yet to go back to Free Duel and grind, I face off with Weevil Underwood. I top deck Gumo, which feels good. He fuses Misaki the Legendary Swordsman and Yabirobo to make Cyber Soldier and puts it in defense. I summon Ganaguma, assuming this will be a cakewalk, but Weevil summons his own Gumo. I dump cards so I can hopefully get Raigeki or Insect Armor. Weevil activates Forest and takes out my Wing Cleaver. I draw Raigeki and now it becomes a cakewalk. Horn Imp and 2 Star Chips are my spoils. But the real reward is being able to farm Weevil in Free Duel now because, as you would expect, he drops a lot of insect monsters and equips that boost them. So he's going to be the main guy to farm so I can start actually getting somewhere with this deck. There's just one little thing I didn't consider. Farming Weevil is actually really difficult. On top of having his own Gumo that can be boosted with equips and a plethora of monsters ranging from 12 to 1600 attack and up to 2000 defense, he can make a lot of strong fusions this early in the game. Now I'm still winning most of these duels, but it's taking far too long to beat him. In a little over 2 hours I managed to win 22 times and lose twice. Win 4 got me Alien Section, win 6 Wing Cleaver, win 8 Spike Snail, win 12 Killer Needle. After 13 wins I suffer my first loss. Win 14 Giant Scorpion of the Tundra, after 15 wins my second loss. Win 17, Minar. Win 21, Cockroach Knight. After 22 wins, this is too slow. I have to get other cards to make farming Weevil more efficient, so I go back to Villager 1 for a shot at Kuwagata Alpha and to farm Star Chips to buy more cards. After 52 wins, he finally drops it, Kuwagata Alpha. And after win 57, I get House of Adhesive Tape, which will be useful later. After 75 wins and no third Kuwagata Alpha to show for it, I go back to Weevil anyway. Win 26 gives me Basic Insect, and after that win, I suffer my third and fourth loss. Win 34, I get Alien Section, and then lose again. Win 38 gives me Lay Cool, and this especially sucks because the chance of getting Lay Cool is 26 out of 2048, while the other cards I'm trying to get have a much higher drop chance, so getting a worse card at a lower drop rate is pretty demoralizing. Win 40 gives me Giant Scorpion into Tundra. After 41 wins, I lose again, and after 42 wins, I go buy Quaggar Hercules for 400 star chips and go back to Villager 1, who finally gives me Kuwagata Alpha after 96 wins. Now that I have 3 Kuwagata Alphas to go along with the Jiraigumo and Quaggar Hercules, I should be feeling more confident about my deck's capabilities. But farming Weevil and losing to his Summoned Skull made me realize equips and traps are going to be essential if I want to even beat the tournament. But in order to get any of them, I need to be able to SA Tech and Free Duel. Thankfully, I have that House of Adhesive Tape from Villager 1, so we can start with that and work our way up. I begin with Simon Muran. He can give us Ikaboon and Fake Trap so we can SA Tech other duels, and even cards like Spellbinding Circle and Dark Hole. I think I've said SA POW, BCD, and SA Tech enough to now explain what it all means and why they are so important. At the end of a duel, you are given a rank based on many factors. All these factors affect an unseen value you are given that determines what rank you get. The value starts at 50, and each factor either adds or subtracts depending on what happened in the duel. Since S-Tech and A-Tech have the same reward pool, I can just focus on going for A-Techs and doing it as fast as possible. And this is how I'm going to do it with Simon Muran. Win 3 gives me Spellbinding Circle, win 17, Fake Trap, and after 35 duels, I decide 1 Fake Trap and Spellbinding Circle is enough to move on to Villager 2. He can give Laser Cannon Armor, Raised Body Heat, Dark Hole, Bear Trap, Invisible Wire, and Fake Trap. On a side note, did you know this guy can make Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon? Because I didn't. I also lost by deck out once due to monotony. After 10 wins, I have enough star chips to buy my 3rd best attacking monster, Dungeon Worm. Win 24 gives me my 2nd Fake Trap, and win 30 gets me my 3rd. After 30 wins from Villager 2, I now have 3 Fake Traps, which is going to go a long way in SA Teching. I head back to Weevil, and the plan is to get SA Power ranks in the hopes that he drops another Jiraigumo for me to use. Having 1 is good, but 2 would boost the consistency of the deck a lot, so even though the drop rate is only 5 out of 2048, I still need to go for it. And while grinding for Jiraigumo, I can get other helpful insect cards to strengthen the deck. Also, if the duel seems like it won't end in an SA POW, I'll just switch it up and go for an SA Tech, now that it's easier to do so with 3 Fake Traps in my deck. For a chance at Laser Cannon Arm, or Insect Armor with Laser Cannon that both have a 60 out of 2048 chance of dropping. Win 53 gives me Ganagumo, which is frustrating because it has a lower chance to drop than any other better stuff I can get. Win 59 gives me Insect Armor with Laser Cannon, and Win 64 gets me my 3rd, and so now that I have 3, the consistency of getting high attack monsters on the field has grown exponentially. After 67 wins, I have enough star chips to buy Hunter Spider, a decent attacking card for this stage of the game, and after win 70, Invisible Wire, another great trap we can use to SA Tech that also destroys any monster that attacks me with 2,000 or less attack. After 70 wins, I decide that I can progress through the campaign a little more now that my deck has been beefed up considerably. Next up in the tournament is Mai Valentine. I start by playing Dungeon Worm and face down attack. Mai sets a back row card down, and because it darkened, I know it isn't a trap card that can be triggered, and I'm free to attack. I summon Killer Needle and do 3,000 damage. I expect her to come at me with something now, and she does, attacking into my Dungeon Worm with Harpy's Pet Dragon, the strongest card she can have with a 1 in 2048 chance of it being in her deck at all. I have no other choice but to start dumping cards now. She then plays her 2nd strongest card in Dark Elf and powers her up with Cyber Shield to really apply the pressure. I'm forced to use Raigeki to clear the field. I'm open to attack, but as long as she doesn't play anything crazy, it's worth it. She plays 7 colored fish, and this I can deal with. I power up Hunter Spider with Insect Armor and destroy 7 colored fish. She just sets a card. I have no good attacking insects, so I set a Fake Trap to protect Hunter Spider. I set Spellbinding Circle because honestly it's fun setting back row down. I finally play Quaggar Hercules, and it's looking like I've won this duel now with another Quaggar Hercules on the way courtesy of Kuwagata Alpha. Hunter Spider finishes her off and I win a Mevalis. Bandit Keith is actually much of the same duel. Similar cards to Mai in terms of strength with the exception of Zoa, which on rare occasions he will use Metamorph on and make Metal Zoa. But he can also make Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon and boost his machines with Machine Conversion Factory. The duel starts off with a Jiraigumo and Insect Armor. He sets a card down. I take this opportunity to set Fake Traps down to protect Jiraigumo in case he decides to get crazy. I set Spike Snail. He attacks into it with Ghoul with an Appetite, triggering a Fake Trap. I set Insect Armor down for later. I then play Forest, and now the duel is won. We chat up Joey. Shadi shows up saying I have a dark twin like it's an episode of Maury Povich. My doppelganger gives me a card, and I go into a duel with Shadi, which is a step back in difficulty when it comes to monster cards with raw attack power, but he prioritizes fusions and can make some good ones like Crimson Sunbird, Thousand Dragon, and of course, Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. I start by fusing into Quaggar Hercules. He sets a monster. I set Fake Trap and attack. He sets again. I set Spellbinding Circle and attack. He repeats. I play Hunter Spider and attack, then deal damage with Quaggar. He sets again. I set Raigeki and attack. He sets again. Activate Forest. Now I could have won there by using Raigeki, but instead I opted not to because I enjoy wasting my own time. I win the duel and get Midnight Fiend. Shadi ended up being a very easy duel, but that won't be the last we see of him. I continue on the tournament facing off with Bakura, or rather the Spirit of the Millennium Ring. I start by setting Hunter Spider in attack mode. He falls for my bluff and sets a back row card down. Activate Raigeki while he has no monsters in the field to establish dominance and attack with Hunter Spider. I don't like seeing that Yurei and his Guardian Star, so I set a fake trap and put Hunter Spider in defense mode. He sets another monster in defense, and now I think you're starting to see Bakura's strategy here. He plays high defense monsters coupled with decent attacking cards and a few fusions. I fuse to make Quaggar Hercules and attack his son face down, which turns out to be Mystical Elf. He sets another card and destroys my Hunter Spider with Gemini Elf. I make another Quaggar and decide to attack his Uranus Star face down, revealing one of his two ace monsters, Labyrinth Wall. I then attack his other face down and it's Spirit of the Heart. I'm not really getting anywhere so far. I really like that Raigeki I used and absolutely did not accidentally waste, but at least he puts Gemini Elf in defense and I can destroy it next turn as well as his other face down. He plays another Gemini Elf and destroys my Spike Snail. I draw Jiraigumo so I can finally start taking out his 2000 defense monsters, but in response, Bakura fuses to make Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. He didn't need to fuse with Mystical Elf, by the way. Thunder Dragon and Spike Seizure were enough. He just wanted to earn more style points because I think the game is catching on that I'm not interested in fusing my own Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, so it's gonna pick up the slack. I dump my cards in the hopes of getting it equipped, and I attack into Gemini Elf with Quaggar Hercules. He destroys another one. I set Forest down for later. He destroys my last Quaggar and attacks with Mabarrel, an Ancient Tool. I use Insect Armor on Dungeon Worm, set it to Uranus, activate Forest, and destroy his THTD. Now that Twin-Headed Shithead has been dealt with, the pressure's off me, but I still have to attack over a Labyrinth Wall somehow. I set Fake Trap, and now I need to keep his other monsters off the field until I can deal with Labyrinth Wall. He powers up his Aqua Beam with Book of Secrets and destroys my Giant Scorpion. I'm lucky his other face down was another Book of Secret Arts, or he could have destroyed my Dungeon Worm using Aqua Beam Saturn Star. Instead, I destroy his Aqua Beam, he sets another back row, and I finally draw into another equip card, allowing me to take out Labyrinth Wall. But since the duel has lasted this long, I decide maybe I'll try to A-Tech him for the possibility of getting another Invisible Wire, Acid Trap Hole, Harpy's Feather Duster, Bright Castle, or even a Crush card. Bakura doesn't like this and plays not only a Spellbinding Circle, but Yami Field Spell and attacks with a Dark Chimera. Now that Dark Chimera could have just as easily been a Dark Elf, which would have been very bad if I didn't have a fake trap down. So I decide not to risk it and end the duel with a B-Tech, and winning Phantom Duan. I take the Millennium Ring without permission and decide to make the gutsy move of taking on Pegasus. Now he's an interesting duel because his deck has a high probability of containing a lot of spells and traps and a ton of good monsters, including a Meteor Black Dragon, which has a 6% chance to play on turn 1. I start by setting Forest face down, and oh, by the way, did I mention Pegasus can see your face down cards with his Millennium Eye? He doesn't like that and uses Harpy's Feather Duster. I set Invisible Wire and he uses another Duster. I set Fake Trap down and he fuses to make a Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, of course. I have to start dumping cards now or I'm gonna lose. He plays Illusionist Faceless Mage, so I'm safe from a direct attack from THT for now. I draw Jiraigumo, but I'm not ready to play him yet, so I dump my other cards, and because Pegasus will know that his Faceless Mage can attack over my Killer Needle, I decide to attack into it, destroying both. He attacks me directly with THTD and Crow Goblin, leaving me with only 2150 life points left. I draw Raigeki and play it, hoping Pegasus can't beat me yet. He plays another Crow Goblin, giving me a chance. I draw Insect Armor, use it on Jiraigumo, and attack his Crow Goblin. He sets a card, I fuse Quaggar Hercules and attack. He sets again, I use Forest to boost Jirai and Quaggar. He sets one more time, and I make another Quaggar and attack for game, winning a Master and Expert. I turn Pegasus into a Cyclops, and since the tournament is going so well, I keep going with the next duel, Ishizu. Ishizu has a lot of water and dragon cards, can just have Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon without needing to fuse, and for some reason can have Black Skull Dragon with an 8% chance to play it on turn 1. I draw decently, but I'm not taking any chances and dump the 3 weaker insects. She plays Man-Eating Black Shark to take out Spike Snail. I can deal with that, so I fuse into Quaggar Hercules, power it up with Insect Armor, and destroy it. She sets a card. I see it as Saturn, so I know my other Quaggar Hercules can take it out with its Jupiter Star. She sets again. I boost Hunter Spider and attack with my unboosted Quaggar, who gets rejected by Catapult Turtle. She sets one more time, and I attack for game, winning a Doro. Now, I'm on a crazy win streak and can't stop now, so I head into the finals to face off against Kaiba. I top deck Jiraigumo, which is great, and set Forest face down as a bluff. Kaiba sets a defense monster with Uranus Star. I dump my weaker insects. he attacks with Illusion's Faceless Mage. I power up my Jiraigumo and use Forest, so it will be stronger than a Blue Eyes White Dragon and attack his Mage. He sets another card. I summon Quaggar Hercules and attack, revealing that his Uranus face down was indeed a Millennium Shield. I fuse for one more Quaggar Hercules and the duel's won. No Meteor Black Dragon from Pegasus, no Black Skull Dragon from Ishizu, and no Blue Eyes White Dragon from Kaiba. Quite possibly one of the easiest run-throughs of the tournament I've ever had. I win a 1-8 Shield Dragon, and with all the Millennium items, the portal can open to return to the past, where the real challenge begins. I start by entering the palace, and a goon yells at me to get out, so naturally we duel to determine if I must actually listen to him or not. He is several steps down in difficulty compared to the finals of the tournament, so I beat him easily and win a Monster Eye. With nothing else to do, I check out the old duel ground and meet Jono, who brings me to the new underground duel grounds, and we have a duel. Jono's second isn't a particularly difficult duel, but I don't want to take any chances since I still haven't saved yet and I don't want to be sent back to Kaiba. So I dump my first hand. His best card is the iconic Red Eyes Black Dragon, which he has a 30% chance of playing on turn 1, but instead he plays a Vermilion Sparrow. I take it out with my Jiraigumo that I put in Uranus Star. He sets a monster. I play Forest to ensure Jirai is stronger than Red Eyes if he happens to draw it. I play Killer Needle and attack into his defense, which is a boosted Battle Seer. He destroys my Killer Needle with Flame Swordsman. I set Fake Trap and attack his Swordsman. He sets a card, it's another Flame Swordsman, and my Killer Needle can't beat over it. He plays a Battle Steer to try and kill my Killer Needle, but he triggers Fake Trap. I play Alien Section and attack. He plays another Flame Swordsman to destroy my Killer Needle again. I summon Giant Scorpion of the Tundra and attack to win the duel, getting Frog the Jam. Next up is Teana second, who isn't as good as Jono, so this won't be difficult. I play Quaggar Hercules, she sets a monster. I play Hunter Spider, attack with Quaggar to reveal Megami with 2000 defense. She attacks my Hunter Spider with Megami and sets another card. I use Forest and attack her Megami with Quaggar. She fuses her face down Wing and Elf with Lunar Queen Alzheim to make Mystical Elf. I summon another Quaggar and the duel is over, winning Sinister Serpent. I leave the dueling grounds, grab the map from Simon's room, go to the King's Valley, reach the Forbidden Ruins, catch up with an old friend, save the game, and dare to challenge one of the mages, starting with the Mountain Mage. The field starts with Mountain to boost all of his cards, so I dump my hand and I'm left with Quaggar Hercules, which I put in defense. He summons Kaminari to attack. I dump my hand again and put another Quaggar Hercules in defense mode. He fuses Kaminari attack with Lesser Dragon to make Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, and now I'm in trouble. I play Forest to lower Twin-Headed's attack, but he comes right back and plays his own mountain. I use Raigeki to remove his THTD, and he comes back and fuses Asilo Hero 2 and Crawling Dragon to just make another one. I dump my hand in the hopes that he'll set a back row card and give me one more turn, but nope. Idiot! Okay, I got carried away thinking I could beat a mage with this deck. I got extremely lucky during the tournament, and that luck was bound to run out. So it's back to free duel with our good friend Weevil Underwood. I duel him 78 more times and win a bunch of cards. Big Insect, Cockroach Knight, Minar, Killer Needle, Giant Flea. After 100 wins, I have enough star chips to buy another Giant Flea. Giant Scorpion of the Tundra, Gokabor. After 133 wins, I have enough star chips to buy another Big Insect. And win 142 is the highlight of this grind, giving me my second Jiraigumo, so the consistency of this deck is going to be huge. And after 153 wins, I buy Kamakiri Man. So with 160 wins against Weevil, I feel it's time to go back into campaign for another shot at a mage, but this time I'm going for the Meadow Mage. I'm not interested in dueling High Mage Kepura and losing to his Gate Guardian. I just need Meadow Mage in free duel so I can farm Quaggar Hercules from him, which drops at a 20 out of 2048 chance in SA PAL. The duel starts with Sogen already active because we forgot our own duel mat and are forced to use Meadow Mages. I start off with 2 insect armors in my hand and I'm not messing around. I dump the weak insects in the hopes of getting Jirai or Kuwagata to fuse with. He summons Monster Tamer and easily disposes of Spike Snail. Second turn I get no luck, so I dump again. He fuses his Monster Tamer with the Judgment Hand to make Judge Man, which is good for me as it means I don't take life point damage. Third turn I get to fuse Quaggar Hercules and boost it, so now I'm in the clear and we can beat him. I win Weather Control and now a new farming partner. The problem though is even without the default Meadow field, Meadow Mage is still too difficult to farm effectively. I can't get consistent S or A POWs against him because his cards naturally have more attack, and he has walls and Millennium Shield delaying the duel for too long to mitigate power ranks. Now Quaggar Hercules can still drop in the lower ranks, just at reduced 12 out of 2048 chances. So I'm putting the farm on Meadow Mage on hold for now and focusing my attention on Shadi, who drops Raigeki on SA Tech at the highest chance in the game, 36 out of 2048. Tied only with the Ocean Mage, but it's far easier of a duel. Shadi didn't give me any trouble farming him, although sometimes he'd find a way to fuse Thousand Dragon or our best friend, Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. But it's no big deal as Jiraiya has the Uranus Star and the CPU always chooses the first Guardian Star of a monster, so I only need one equip on Jiraiya to hit over THTD. Win 12 gets me a fake trap at a lower drop chance of 24 out of 2048, so that's really frustrating. Win 33 I get another fake trap, and this is getting ridiculous. Win 69 gives me Goblin Fan, again another card that drops at 24 out of 2048 chance, and at this point my blood is boiling. I did not think Shadi would take this long to drop a single Raigeki, and just to laugh at me he gives me another one right after that. Win 83 Invigoration, which does work on Jiraiya for some reason, so I might keep that in my back pocket. Oh, and for all those Power of Kaishins I've been getting, yeah, 24 out of 2048 chance too. But after 100 wins and over 11 hours of painstaking, grueling, truly horrific punishment, the grinding paid off, and I'm awarded So yeah, Shadi's a bitch and will give anything but Raigeki, so I'm gonna pretend like he gave me one just so I can keep my damn sanity. I wanted to have 3 in my deck, but that's not happening, and don't worry. Soon after I feel like I'm cheating and take the second Raigeki away. So now it's time to get some trap cards so I can protect the few insects in my deck that I need to power up. There are 2 duelists that can give us everything we need if we farm them, Pegasus and Kaiba. Pegasus has more variety in his useful drops on SA Tech with Megamorph, Bright Castle, Acid Trap Hole, and Widespread Ruin, all dropping at 64 out of 2048 chance. Kaiba has a greater chance at dropping Acid Trap Hole and Widespread Ruin at 84 out of 2048 chance, with a reduced drop rate of 40 out of 2048 for Bright Castle, but can also drop Crush Guard at the same 40 out of 2048 chance. He also has a slight chance of dropping Hunter Spider at 12 out of 2048. The deciding factor though is that Pegasus can still see your face down cards in Free Duel and thus makes it much more difficult to get a good tech rake on him. So I'm going to farm Kaiba because once I deal with that Blue Eyes Red Dragon, it's pretty much a guaranteed win. After 25 wins, Kaiba gives me some great cards. Dragon Capture Jar, Bright Castle, Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 Crush cards, 3 Acid Trap Holes, and even another Hunter Spider. He also gives me the best trap card in the game, Widespread Ruin. That's how it's done, Shadi, you fucking grrr. Anyway, now I feel I've gotten enough from Kaiba to at least defeat some of the mages, so I go back in a campaign and head into the Sea Shrine to take on the Meadow Mage. I start things off by changing the field to Forest. Ocean Mage means business and fuses a Sea King Dragon with an Electric Lizard to make Old Faithful and attacks me. Jiraiya can attack over THTD because of the Uranus Star. He sets a monster, I set Acid Trap Hole for protection and attack. He sets again, I fuse to make Quaggar Hercules and attack with it. Next, Jiraiya is free to attack his life points. He sets yet again, I draw into my second Jiraiya and the game is won. He gives me a Clown Zombie. And that decisive win makes me believe I can take on High Mage Secmeton, which is the easiest of all the High Mages, but still for a casual player is difficult. Good thing I'm not a casual. The duel starts with me drawing both Jiraiya, so this is already going well. I set Acid Trap Hole. He uses Harpy's Feather Duster. I take this opportunity to dump my hand, play Quaggar Hercules, and attack. He oddly sets a monster in defense. Not being able to attack over Quaggar, especially with Umi up, is very lucky for me. I dump my hand again, playing a Jiraiya, attack into his defense monster, and oh yeah, I forgot he can have Labyrinth Wall, for some reason. I put Quaggar in defense and end. He summons Megami of all things to attack Quaggar, and this is a good time to say that High Mage Secmeton's card pool for this deck is all over the place, with water, dark, females, walls. It has no consistency, and that is why he's the easiest of the bunch. I activate Forest, so Jiraiya is stronger than a potential Suijin or Crab Turtle, and attack Megami. He sets a monster. I use Insect Armor with Laser Cannon on my second Jiraiya to attack over his Labyrinth Wall. He sets again. I fuse Quaggar Hercules, and he's left with 100 life points. The duel is over. And that's 1 Millennium item down. Feeling good, I tackle a second shrine, the desert. I draw 2 Raigekis turn 1, I feel bad about it, and dump the rest of my hand. He sets a monster, I draw Crush card and dump the rest. He summons Mystical Sand and attacks my big insect. I draw Bright Castle and Giant Flea, but I'm not ready to do anything just yet, so I set Raigeki. He too sets a card in his back row and attacks with Mystical Sand. I play Crush card, and it does not destroy his face down, which means it can only be a Labyrinth Wall. He sets another back row card. I set down a Fake Trap. He sets a third back row down. I finally draw something I can use and fuse Quaggar while boosting it up twice with Insect Armor and Bright Castle. Then use Raigeki to take out his Labyrinth Wall. Now he has a third back row card that is a trap card, but I know he can only have either Fake Trap or Bad Reaction to Samuchi, so I don't have to worry about my insects being destroyed. He sets a monster. I boost Jiraigumo and attack with Quaggar, and since the trap didn't trigger, I know it's Bad Reaction to Samuchi. He sets again, I boost another Quaggar, and attack for game. Now, High Mage Martis is like Secmeton, in that his card pool consists of a lot of cards that don't fit the theme of Wasteland, but he does have a few dinosaurs and zombies that get the boost. His strongest cards are Zoa, Summon Skull, and Dark Magician, that don't get the boost from Wasteland, but he does have Brachioradius and Great Mammoth of Gold Find that go up to 2700. I start off setting Crush card just to see what he plays before I commit. He fuses Skelgon and Stone Ghost to make Stone D and attacks. I dump my hand and boost Quaggar Hercules. I use Crush card and attack his life points. He sets a monster. It could be Labyrinth Wall, so I use Raigeki and attack again. He sets another monster. I fuse another Quaggar and attack with the stronger one. We can see Guardian Stars coming in handy as he sets his Moon Stars Zoa because it can't attack over my Sun Star Quaggar. He summons a Stone D to take out my stronger Quaggar. I play Forest to gain the field advantage and attack his Stone D. He sets a monster. I make a third Quaggar and boost it, attacking his Soul Hunter and then attacking for game. He gives me a Constructive Mask? And the Millennium Scales. Alright. With 2 High Mages down, this is all seemingly pretty easy.
Wrong!
Remember, the rule of this challenge is I have to defeat everyone in campaign mode, and that means our next duels are with the Labyrinth Mage and Seto II, who both happen to have Gate Guardian, as well as an outrageous assortment of other powerful cards. So it's back to Free Duel, where I will finally begin farming for more Quaggar Hercules from Meadow Mage. It's still proving difficult to consistently get S or A POW against him, but he also drops Quaggar Hercules at the BCD ranks at a 12 and 20/48 chance, so a duel that ends up at a low rank is not a complete waste of time. Win 52 gets me Quaggar Hercules at a C rank, but after dueling Meadow Mage a total of 106 times, he doesn't give me a third one. But I still have 2, so it's time to test the strength of this deck. All the hours of grinding have to have paid off by now, and we'll see it in full display against Labyrinth Mage. Alright, hold on. Alright, got the Labyrinth Mage down. Seto second, should it be too much for... Okay, not a problem, I'll just go right back and try. Alright, okay, fine. After a few losses, I began to have my doubts, but persistence wears down resistance. One change I made was taking out Fake Trap and putting in Invigoration because it works with Jiraigumo, and I need all the boosts I can get. I start the duel by setting Crush card. He summons Old Faithful. I dump my hand and set Quaggar Hercules. He sets a monster and attacks with THTD. I set Acid Trap Hole. He triggers it with THTD, then attacks with Roaring Ocean Snake. I dump the insects and use Crush card, which does not destroy his face down, so it definitely is a Labyrinth Wall. He sets a Trap card, which could be Acid Trap Hole, Fake Trap, or Reverse Trap. I decide to dump Crush card and summon Hunter Spider. He plays down another back row card, and I'm worried it could be Stop Defense. I set Forest. He attacks with only a Mystical Sand. I fuse Quaggar Hercules and boost it with 2 Insect Armors, and his Reverse Trap activates, completely nullifying my combo. I use Forest and attack into his Mystical Sand with Hunter Spider. He attacks Quaggar with Giant Red Sea Snake. I dump Forest and Killer Needle and summon Dungeon Worm to attack his snake. He sets a monster. I use Raigeki and attack. He sets again. I boost Jiraigumo to 3700 and attack. He sets one more time. I fuse Quaggar and boost it with Insect Armor, and that's the duel. Right, left, right, and it's time to take back my waifu. I start by dumping my hand and putting Quaggar in defense. Seto summons Gate Guardian and destroys Quaggar. I play Crush card. He summons Blackluster Soldier and attacks. I set Acid Trap Hole. He triggers it with Blackluster Soldier and attacks me with Senga of the Thunder. I power up Jiraigumo with Invigoration, set his Star to Uranus, and attack Senga. He sets a monster. I use Crush card, so I attack directly. He summons Kazijin and uses its Saturn Star to beat over my Jiraigumo. I dump the insects in my hand and leave Quaggar Hercules in attack mode because it's Jupiter Star, giving it a boost to match Kazijin. He sets a monster and, like an idiot, switches Kazijin to defense mode. I set Acid Trap Hole and destroy his Kazujin. He triggers my trap with Bakuri Box. I set another Acid Trap Hole and destroy another Kazujin he had face down. He triggers my trap again with Crimson Sunbird. I power Jiragumo and attack, leaving him at 100 life points. He summons Senga the Thunder to attack Quaggar Hercules. And that's the game. Now that I have access to Labyrinth Mage and Free Duel, I can farm BCD ranks from him for a 2 out of 20/48 chance of getting Dungeon Worm, our third strongest insect in the deck, which will become very helpful later on. I then went back to farm Kaiba because he just has such a high chance to give good cards. Win 26 gets me Crush card. Win 27, Bright Castle. Win 31, Hunter Spider. Win 34, Bright Castle again. Win 40, Widespread Ruin, and win 46, my third Widespread Ruin. Now this insect deck is far more formidable, so it's time to run through the remaining mages, starting with our buddy the Mountain Mage. I start by dumping my hand. He attacks with Taihon number 2. I use Insect Armor on Jiragumo and attack. He sets a monster. I further boost Jiragumo with Bright Castle just to ensure no nonsense from this guy. He sets another monster. I use Raigeki so I can attack directly. He sets a monster again. I use Forest and attack. At this point, he's helpless. He can't win, so I finish him off in a couple turns. Idiot! Get out of my way so I can duel Atenza. Now this high mage has far more cards that utilize the field bonus of Mountain and are strong as well. He has a 22% chance of summoning Black Skull Dragon on turn 1 and has a lot of other Mountain specific beaters, even having the 1 in 20/48 chance of having a Meteor Black Dragon. I start the duel dumping insects and a Widespread Ruin. I need to get a strong monster on the field fast. I don't have time to set a trap. He summons Gaia the Dragon Champion and attacks. It's not a Black Skull Dragon, so I'm hopeful I can win. I draw in a Jiragumo and a third equip card, so now Jirai matches the attack of a boosted Black Skull Dragon, and it's unlikely he'll draw a Meteor Black Dragon. He sets a monster. I boost another Jirai with Bright Castle and attack. He sets again. I boost my stronger Jiragumo with another Bright Castle, as it'd give just enough attack to finish him off. I attack with my weaker Jirai and look like an idiot as I get walled by Mikazuki no Yaba! He destroys my weaker Jirai with Kaiser Dragon. I change the field to Forest and destroys Kaiser. He sets a monster, and I win the duel with Giant Flea, getting the Millennium Ring. It's time to actually challenge the Meadow Shrine. I've defeated Meadow Mage enough that this is an easy duel, but the real challenge comes from... Oh, sick! Well, there's my third Quaggar Hercules. Life is going well. As I was saying, the real challenge is High Mage Kepura, because not only does he have Gate Guardian, which he plays on turn 1 a ridiculous 40.5% of the time, it also gets a boost from the middle field, and he can power it up with Sword of Dark Destruction. He can also play Black Skull Dragon on turn 1 25% of the time, so it's safe to assume that you'll have to deal with something powerful on turn 1. I start by dumping everything except Jiragumo from my hand. He summons Black Skull Dragon, so okay, this will be tough to deal with, but at least it's not Gate Guardian. I dump my hand again, this time including Jiragumo, because Quaggar Hercules is more valuable to me with its Sun Star getting an advantage over Moon Stars. He sets a magic card down and attacks. I use Forest, so next turn Quaggar Hercules will be stronger. He attacks me with another Black Skull Dragon. I boost Quaggar Hercules with Insect Armor, set it to Sun, and attack one of the Black Skull Dragons. He scares the shit out of me for a brief moment, and I'm relieved that he decides to use Sword of Dark Destruction on his Wall Shadow. I use Crush card and attack directly. He sets a monster. I boost Quaggar even further and attack. He sets again. I use Raigeki and attack directly. He sets one more time. I fuse another Quaggar Hercules and attack for game, claiming the Millennium Eye. Now I'm able to see the opponent's face down cards like Pegasus can, and with the added power, it's time to duel the hardest of the shrines for this particular run, the Forest Shrine. Since the field is already in Forest, there's no point in me keeping the field spells in my deck, so I swapped them out for 3 Dark Energy because they can equip the Jiragumo. I know that Ray's Body Heat, an equip that is supposed to boost just dinosaurs, also works on all insect-type monsters, and I could have farmed Rex Raptor on SA Tech to get them, but I didn't think it was necessary. The Forest Mage is easy enough. I dump my hand and boost Quaggar Hercules with Insect Armor. He sets a monster, I use Crush card and attack. He sets another monster, I use Raigeki and attack again. He sets again, I attack him directly with Giant Flea. He destroys my Giant Flea with Battle Steer, and I attack for game. That was the easy duel out of the way, but now comes the problem with the Forest Shrine. Because the field is already enforced, I can't change it to something else to gain an advantage over my opponent, and High Mage Anubisius utilizes the forest field very well. Having a 32% chance to summon perfectly Ultimate Great Moth on turn 1, and complementing it with Great Moth and Javelin Beetle, he has a 69% chance of summoning one of the three on turn 1. I'm expecting a grueling grind to defeat this guy. I start by dumping my insects. He summons Javelin Beetle, the weakest of the three, so this is a good sign. Next turn, I draw Kuwagata Alpha and Hunter Spider, as well as another Break Castle, and fuse and attach all equips to Quaggar Hercules. Now the only thing that can attack over me is perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. He doesn't have it, and sets a monster. I boost Jiraiya with Dark Energy, and attack. He sets again. I use Crush card, and just like that, I've beaten what I thought was going to be the most difficult duel of the Shrines. I was certain that I was going to have to go back into Free Duel and grind more equips to take down Anubisius, but everything fell into place in the first duel, and now I can challenge the final 6 duels to beat the game. I get the Millennium Key, Seto appears out of nowhere like he's ready to sell me something, check in with my friends one last time, Jono appears to want a handout, and I enter the Vast Shrine. There's no one stopping me from going in, so I ignore the chance and allow Heishin to continue to rule. Once inside, Seto shows me a secret passage to Heishin, but I get stopped by 2 cosplayers, Sebek and Neku. Sebek is the first duel, and he's no Kepura or Anubisius, but he still has a 44% chance to play Metal Zoa on turn 1, which thankfully does not get a boost from the default Yami field. His other star monster is Zoa, which does get a boost from Yami and ends up being stronger than Metal Zoa because of it. I put the forest field spells back in my deck and begin the first duel of the Deadly Six. I start off by setting Acid Trap Hole. He sets a Uranus star monster in defense, and by now you should know that's either a Labyrinth Wall or Millennium Shield. I dump my hand. He sets a magic card. I draw into a lot of traps, so I set another Acid Trap Hole. He too sets another back row card. Setting down trap cards is fun for me, so I put Widespread Ruin down. He's had enough setup and plays Launcher Spider, powering it up with Machine Conversion Factory and attacking, triggering one of my Acid Trap Holes. I set another Widespread Ruin down. He sets another magic card down. I dump my hand and use Bright Castle on Jiraiya, revealing that indeed his face down was Millennium Shield. He sets another magic card down. I use Forest so Jiraiya can attack over Millennium Shield and attack him directly with Quaggar Hercules. He repeats himself, boosting another Launcher Spider, but this time he's got an extra trick, Shadow Spell. But unfortunately for him, I have more traps that he can deal with. I'm enjoying the trap card torture that's upon Sebek, so I put down one more Acid Trap Hole and watch his monster get destroyed before ending the duel. Next up is Neku, who is far more consistent at putting down threatening attackers, with his strongest card being Skull Knight that he plays 48% of the time on turn 1. He also has Zoa, Dark Magician, and Summon Skull, which all get the boost from the Yami field. I start by setting Acid Trap Hole. He sets down a magic card. I dump my hand, boost Quaggar Hercules with Insect Armor, put it in Sunstar, and attack his life points. He summons Dark Magician to try and destroy Quaggar Hercules, but Acid Trap Hole stops that from happening. I set Widespread Ruin and attack again. He tries to use another Dark Magician. I fuse Quaggar Hercules and attack for game. So those two weren't that big of a problem, but now I come up to Heishin. For some reason his card pool for his deck is much different than the first time we duel him. He actually has a lot of weaker cards, and even omits perfectly Ultimate Great Moth from his deck list. But he makes up for it by having Gate Guardian, Meteored Black Dragon, Black Skull Dragon, Blue Eyes White Dragon, double the chance of having Exodia, and a high chance of having Megamorph. Oh, and something a little extra just to make this even more fun. From this point onwards, all of our opponents can see our face down cards just like Pegasus, and they draw half their deck on turn 1. That's right, they have 20 card hands, which means the chance of Heishin getting all 5 pieces of Exodia and just ending the duel goes up significantly. I start the duel setting Crush card. He brushes it away with Harpy's Feather Duster. I boost Quaggar Hercules with 3 equips, put a Sunstar on it, and attack. He plays a Moon Monster face down and attack, and ends. I play Jiraiya and attack with Quaggar Hercules. The Sunstar comes in handy as I'm able to attack over his Gate Guardian. But my luck runs out as he summons Meteor Black Dragon. I dump my hand and set my monsters in defense. He summons a Black Skull Dragon, and now I'm starting to sweat. I brick my next hand, getting only insects. I have no choice but to dump them. He sets a trap card down and attacks into me. I use Crush card, hoping he doesn't have any strong monsters left, but oh yeah. He uses a Megamorph on Zeradamant, leaving me with 100 life points. I set Widespread Ruin in the hopes he sets a back row card down, and he does. He attacks with Zera, triggering Widespread Ruin. I decide I need to get more equipped, so I dump my whole hand and am left with Quaggar Hercules boosted by Bright Castle. I set it to Sun and hope he can't take me out. He can take me out. Even after the loss, I go right back and try again, not because I knew I could beat the game with the deck the way it is, but more so just to observe the state of the deck's strength and how far it can go. Earlier I got incredibly lucky beating High Mage and Anubisius the first try, and originally I had planned to go back and farm in Free Duel because I didn't think my deck was capable of beating him. But since it miraculously did, I was left with the final 6 accessible, no farming required, so may as well test the deck's limits. And it appears like getting to Heishin is its limit at this current state. After beating Sebek and Neku the first time, they became much tougher opponents. Sebek consistently drew Metal Zoa, and Neku really amped it up, always having powerful cards to play and take advantage of Guardian Stars. It was clear after dueling them a few times that the Cosmic Alignment system, the Guardian Stars, were no longer my ally. Almost every time I would decide to put Quaggar Hercules in Sunstar, Neku had a Dark Magician in Mercury ready to capitalize. It's a good thing that the CPU never picks the second Guardian Star for a monster because both Dark Magician and Kazijin have Mars as their second star, which is stronger against Jupiter, and I would have been really screwed. As for Heishin, he uses Megamorph a lot, and loves to use it to make a stronger monster that he had before, which makes him really difficult to deal with when I had to use Raigeki, Crush Card, and Widespread Ruin to take out his big threats. So, it's back to Free Duel. And the first thing I need to do is get a third Jiraigumo to boost the consistency of my deck. But last time it took me 142 duels to get one Jiraigumo to drop. I'm not doing that again. Instead, with the help of the speedrunning community and the many tools they have developed to help understand and optimize the game, I get another Jiraigumo in just one duel, which is just such a relief you have no idea. Next up, I'm finally going to farm Pegasus for those sweet, sweet Megamorphs. Pegasus is particularly difficult to SA tech because he tends to have more multiple copies of Harpy's Feather Duster and Raigeki, so setting up the board is a gamble, and he's more likely to use these magic cards if you give him breathing room. But you need to give him breathing room so he can attack your defense monsters and trigger trap cards, or so you can rack up effective attacks. Long story short, he's just a pain to SA tech quickly because one mistake and you lose out on a rank or the duel altogether. He also has a small chance to have Meteor Black Dragon, which he did play against me more than once, the scumbag. Win 14 got me Megamorph. After 14 wins, I buy Laser Cannon Arm to add another equip card to my deck. Win 22 gives me a second Megamorph, and after 35 wins, I lose to Pegasus because I wasn't paying attention and decked out. So I figured, alright, that's enough grinding, I'm not even keeping track of my deck count anymore, surely I've spent enough time in Free Duel to finally beat this game with an all-insect deck. So, let's finally take on the final 6. Sebek is easy enough, we start a round of Simon Says until he can't copy me any longer. I just needed to get through a couple acid trap holes he set down and the duel is won. The duel with Neku Again proves much harder. I dump my hand so I can get a Quaggar or a Jirai. He summons a Kazijin. I dump my hand again and use Crush Card. He summons another Kazijin. I boost Quaggar Hercules with 2 Bright Castles and use the Jupiter Star to attack over Kazijin. He sets a monster. I use Crush Card and attack directly. He sets a monster again. I set Acid Trap Hole and attack. He sets again. I set another Acid Trap Hole. I dump my hand and attack his life points with Hunter Spider. He tries to attack it, but triggers one Acid Trap Hole, and that's the duel. Now to get my revenge on Heishin. I decide to put in 2 Dragon Capture Jars in place of Acid Trap Hole because he has many dragons in his deck, so they'll work just like Raigeki and Crush Card, and that's a great thing to have more of. I start the duel by setting Forest. He summons Gate Guardian, of course. I forgot to mention before this that his chance of playing Gate Guardian on turn 1 is 49%. I fuse to make Quaggar Hercules, attach Megamorph to it, put it in Sunstar, and activate Forest so it has just enough to attack over Gate Guardian. He summons Meteor Black Dragon and destroys all my work with 1 card. I dump my destruction cards, taking out his MBD with Dragon Capture Jar. He sets a monster, which is really lucky for me. I set Widespread Ruin. He sets a trap card. I decide to dump and boost Jiraigumo, but hold off on attacking because his trap could be his own Widespread Ruin. He plays a monster and face down attack. I set Crush Card to use for later and end. He sets another trap card. I use the Crush card in my hand to take out both of his monsters. He plays another face down attack monster. I summon Big Insect to trigger his trap and it wastes his Widespread Ruin. And since it was the second trap that activated it instead of the first, I assume the one that didn't activate is a fake trap and that I'm safe to attack. I don't even know if that's sound logic, but it works out that way. He sets another trap card down. I play another Big Insect to trigger his trap, another fake trap. I attack with Joragumo into his Blue Eyes White Dragon. He sets a monster. I boost the Joragumo in my hand 3 times, use Crush card, and Heishin is down. Seto claims the Millennium Rod for himself for some reason. I guess his other toys proved to not be long enough for him. He backstabs me in what I'm sure goes down as one of the wildest video game twists of all time. Gives me some crap about being a muggle or something and duels me for the Millennium items. Seto 3rd is considered the hardest duel in the game, and one look at his card pool illustrates why. He has a 57% chance to summon Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon on turn 1, and if you deal with it, you can just play another one. He also has a high chance to have Raigeki, Shadow Spell, Harpy's Feather Duster, and Widespread Ruin for his back row cards. Oh, and don't forget, he draws half his deck on turn 1, and can see my face down cards. Before the duel, I put in a 3rd Dragon Capture Jar, and, well, maybe it's better to just show you my live reaction. Whew, this is it. Okay, Megamorph, that's good. Alright. No problem. Yeah, there it is. Okay. No problem, here we go. Shit. Guess I'll just... Do I take... I don't know. I just use Raigeki and just take the hit, or what? I don't know. He can just summon another one. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna dump, I think. I think we're gonna dump. Yeah, I'm gonna dump. Okay, MBD. Oh, God. Well, I have to dump. I'm hoping that since he summons an MBD last turn, he doesn't have something stronger. Okay, Black Skull Dragon. Alright, just fuck it. Everything. Oh, shit. This is... if he summons Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, he can take me out. Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding. What? What? Get me out of this duel before Seto changes his mind. What just happened? So, yeah. Seto played a regular Blue Eyes and attacked into Jiraigumo, even though it was weaker. Now that's not the first time I've seen it happen, and after experiencing it again in this playthrough, I now understand what's going on. I had 300 life points remaining and a Jiraigumo boosted with Megamorph, Bright Castle, and Insect Armor with Laser Cannon. Every turn the CPU determines whether it can defeat the player in a certain order. It sees my Jiraigumo first as a base card, a 2200 attack monster. Then it checks if the field is giving it a bonus. In this case, it's not. Then it checks Guardian Star advantage. In the case against Blue Eyes White Dragon Sunstar, Jiraigumo has no advantage. Then it checks if it can reduce the player's life points to 0 if it attacks. So far with the information gathered, the CPU believes it can defeat me because it thinks Jiraigumo only has 2200 attack and attacking with a 3000 attack monster will do enough to reduce my life points to 0. It doesn't check for equip cards used until after this kill move check, and so there are scenarios where the CPU will suicide into your stronger monster. While my Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories lecture was going on, Heishin threatened Seto's life, proclaiming to have lost to me on purpose. We know that's not true. We forfeit the Millennium items, Darknite is summoned, Heishin gets turned into a card and burned, and we are given one chance to stop this absolute fucking unit by beating him in a card game. Darknite is a little easier than Seto III. His strongest monster is Meteor Black Dragon, which has a 28% chance of being played on turn 1, and has a high chance of having a lot of spells and traps in his deck. I start by setting Forest. He uses Harpy's Feather Duster. I set Dragon Capture Jar. He sets a trap card. I fuse to make Quaggar Hercules and attack, hoping to trigger his trap, but the attack goes through. He summons Black Skull Dragon and destroys my Quaggar Hercules. I'm worried his trap is Reverse Trap, but I use Bright Castle and Insect Armor on Jiraiya anyway. Reverse Trap activates, I use Dragon Capture Jar, and set Jiraigumo. He summons another Black Skull Dragon. I use 2 Megamorphs on Quaggar Hercules, set it to Sun, and attack his Black Skull Dragon. He sets a monster. I boost Giant Flea with 2 Insect Armors and attack. He sets again. I use Crush card, and the duel is won. Darknite starts crying, and by using his rage-infused tears, transforms into whatever the fuck this is, and crushes my skull with his ridiculous physique, thus allowing him to take over the world, right? Nope, he just wants to duel again. This time Nitemare disposes of all his spells and traps and only has monsters, with a 74% chance of playing a monster with at least 3500 attack on turn 1. I decide to take out 3 forests and place a 3 dark energy just in case before this final duel, just to make sure losing after coming all this way does not happen. I usually set a back row card on turn 1, but because I know Nitemare will only attack, I dump my crush cards and set Giant Flea. He summons Gate Guardian. I set Dungeon Worm. He summons Cosmo Queen and attacks. I draw another equip and it's time to use them all, and I attack into his Gate Guardian. He sets a card and puts Cosmo Queen in defense. I set Widespread Ruin just in case he draws Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. He plays a face-down attack position monster. I boost Jiraigumo with another 3 equips because it makes me feel good and attack his Gate Guardian. I boost Jiraigumo again with Megamorph and attack. He sets again. I use Dragon Capture Jar hoping his set Pluto Star is another THTD, but it's a Thunder, not a Dragon, so I'm just an idiot. He sets again. I dump my hand, leaving with Quaggar Hercules as bait, so he triggers my Widespread Ruin. I use Capture Jar and his Gaia the Dragon Champion, and end the duel with a 6700 attack Jiraigumo. Nitemare screams, which honestly scared the shit out of me the first time I beat this game. Seto evaporates, and there you have it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, beaten using only insects for monsters. It was an extremely long process to complete this run. Not using the memory card trick to get 3 copies of each card really put a hindrance on progression, but I wanted to prove that without a doubt, it is possible to beat Forbidden Memories with no tricks or cheats to get powerful cards early on and make this playthrough a cakewalk. By far the hardest thing was figuring out how I was going to farm in Free Duel, because not being able to fuse while also not having strong base attack cards really restricted who I was able to farm early on. However, Jiraigumo being only 80 star chips was a huge help to squeeze extra wins out. I'm sure you're curious, so here are the total wins from Free Duel. Of course, my deck wasn't perfect. I could have had a 3rd Megamorph, 3 raised body heats rather than the 3 dark energy, 2 more Raigekis, 2 more laser arm cannons. This is probably debatable, but this is what I see as the perfect insect deck. The monsters are no surprise, it's just the best that you can come up with. A lot of equips, 15 to be exact, and technically 16, because the point of having 3 Dianketo the Cure Masters in the deck is just so you can fuse 2 of them to make a 4th Megamorph. Well, that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this journey. I appreciate you having made it all the way to the end. If you did enjoy this video, please feel free to comment on what else you'd like to see from me, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.